What if I stopped working on my weaknesses and did this instead? The moment I did that, the moment I stopped working on my weaknesses and I did this instead, my life opened up and started blossoming. When I was a kid, I was always told, practice makes perfect. And by the way, it's really perfect. Practice makes perfect. But practice makes perfect. And the other thing I was always told was you have to work on your weaknesses. You have to get stronger in math or writing or shooting a free throw, running the bases. You have to work on what you're not very good at so that you become good at it. That's how I lived my life. And that's how I started telling my kids to live their life. Things are passed down generation to generation until I met my mentor. And my mentor said to me, what if you stopped working on your weaknesses and you worked on your abilities instead? When I thought about that, the light bulb went off, right? The little emoji, the head exploding emoji, it just blew my mind. What if I could work on my abilities? What if I could pour all of that heart and soul that I was trying to improve on my weaknesses, the things that really I didn't really care about, like I wanted to get better at them, or I was told I should be good at them, but they weren't really having a direct effect on my life or moving the needle or me hitting a goal or an aspiration that I had? But what if I did work on those things that I was already good at and I sharpened my sword and I got really good at it? I started hitting that mastery level. If I could do that, then I wouldn't have any competition. A buddy of mine says that all the time. He says, I don't do competition. I am the competition. Because he solely focuses on just a few tasks. And he does them really good. And he keeps doing them. And it becomes just like something he does. It becomes automatic. It becomes easy for him. Where everybody else struggles, it becomes easier for him because he hit that mastery level. It reminds me of a time like the delta between the effort that you're making and the result that you're getting. That delta, that time spent. What's your return on that? What's your return on that effort? If you're constantly working on your weaknesses, you don't get any better at what you're really good at. So you stay average there. So yeah, your weaknesses are coming up, but they're not getting so great that they're foreshadowing your brilliance, the things you're really good at, your abilities. So you're actually lowering your ability in what you're really good at because you're spending so much time on your weaknesses. My father used to do this all the time. My father was famous for, he would drive 20 minutes out of his way to go get fuel for his car, right? I'm saving 15 cents a gallon. You got to go over to Mobilygots and buy fuel. And that Mobilygots is the actual name he used. It was, whatever, it was a dad's story. But you got to go to Mobilygots and get fuel because they got a 15 cents cheaper than anybody else. But it was a 20-minute drive to get to Mobilygots. He would use 2 gallons of gas, a gallon of gas there and a gallon of gas back. So he'd be spending $2, $4, $6 to go get fuel. And that 15 cent savings would only save him $2 or $3. So he was already negative. There was no ROI on all of that effort. In that 40 minutes, 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back, in that 40 minutes, what could he have gotten done? He could have fixed something around the house. He could have mowed the lawn. He could have read a book. He could have done so many things in that 40 minutes to actually get a big bang for his buck. But nope, he had to save that 15 cents a gallon. And he had to drive 20 minutes one way, 20 minutes back. It just didn't make sense. It's the same concept of constantly working on your weaknesses. If you're constantly working on your weaknesses, then what you're good at isn't improving. You're kind of just staying status quo instead of taking off stratospheric success. So, when my mentor said to me, he said to me, Neil, what if you stopped working on your weaknesses, and what if you put all of that energy behind working on your abilities? What would that do for you? If you stopped working on your weaknesses, and you used the time you were working on your weaknesses on your abilities, what would that mean for you? And when he said that, I was like, wow. It was like that light bulb moment, right? So he taught me a technique. And that technique is right here. He broke out a sheet of paper and he actually folded it. We're going to do it on the whiteboard, though. Go on the whiteboard. And he said, what are you good at? Like, what actually is your brilliance? And what he meant by that is, what are things that energize you? What can you do forever? What would you do for free? So when you're going through this exercise, I want you to think about those things that energize you. When you do them, you feel alive. You're like, yeah, this is great, let's go. You're alive, you're energized, you're happy. You're just hitting it. Boom, crushing it. Bang, bang, bang. What are those things? What are those things you can do forever? You ever get into like the zone, you're in the zone and you're just like working and you're working and you're working and you're doing your thing, and then all of a sudden it's midnight and you're like, what? How'd that happen? The sun came up, the sun went down, and I didn't even realize it. Dinner's gone. Like, everybody went to bed, went to sleep, and I'm still here chirping away. What are those things? What are the things you do for free? If you had $1 gazillion and you didn't have to worry about money, what would you do for free because it really brought you that much fulfillment? It really lit you up. It made you just shine. What are those activities? Those activities are what your brilliance is. Now over here, this is really good. Really good. Whoops. So what are you really good at? And in the really good column, it's the things that you can do, that you love doing. You love doing. But at the end of the day, you're drained. So at the end of the day, you're drained, but you love doing the activities. You're really good at the activities. You enjoy the activities, but they don't energize you. They're not lighting you up. That's the biggest difference between these two. Now let's look at this down here. They call this, what are you competent at? And this is incompetent. So what are you competent at? Competent is those things that drain you, but you can do them. You can do them, but you really don't want to do them. So what is, you have the ability, but draining. So what do we mean by this? This is, you're drained at the end of the day. Right? You could do it, but you're drained at the end of the day. Competent is, you start like hearing it and you're like, yeah, I really don't want to do that. Like, it starts draining you from the first moment. You have the ability to do it. You just like, you have to bring a little bit of grit to the table and just like slog through it. That's competent. And then incompetent. What are those things? The thought of it drains you. This This you'd pay people to do, like you wouldn't even care. I will pay you any amount of money because I just hate this. It's things that you literally suck at, or it's things that you just can't waste a brain cell on. Like it just, when you think about it, you freeze. For me, that's booking flights. Booking flights, repetitive task. I'm not that I'm not that I suck at repetitive tasks. I can do repetitive tasks really well, but just the thought of doing a repetitive task, if I have to sit down and like copy and paste in Excel, or I got to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, like looking up when we do property work, when we're building lists and stuff, and I'm looking up owner addresses and all of that stuff. That stuff just drains me. I will pay people, like, if I gotta do it, I'll do it, but I will pay people whatever it is to just do it for me, because I can't just sit there. Like I start twitching. But these are the areas. What are you really good at? What are you brilliant at? What are you really good at? What are you competent in? And what are you incompetent in? Write those things down, and then start paying attention up here. Start paying attention at your brilliance. What you bring to the table. How you could crush it each and every day. Because then work up here doesn't feel like work. When you're doing things and you're operating up here, it doesn't feel like you're actually working. When I went to the firehouse, when I was a fireman, I used to love going to I never felt like I was working. Never in my life did I feel like I was working a day in my life when I was in the firehouse. Because it was just something I was born to do. So where are you brilliant? And double down on that. Double down on your brilliance. Double down on your abilities. Because when you spend, if you spent an hour a week on your brilliance, you spent 1 hour a week on your brilliance, it would look like this, right? You'd be this way, and then zoom, you'd have that hockey stick effect. Whereas if you paid attention down here to the stuff you're incompetent at, you'd get a little better, you'd get a little better, you'd get a little better, but you wouldn't excel at it. You wouldn't be doing things that lit you up. For me, my brilliance, workbooks. I love creating workbooks. I love putting pieces together. I love, like, this is the core values workbook I have right here, right? I love putting this stuff together. I love thinking about the activities that allow people to grow and excel. Workbooks, relating ideas. I will literally use what I call the kitchen table technique. And the kitchen table technique for me is just sitting around the table, writing out all the ideas, and then linking those ideas together. When you link those ideas together, then I move into my next great ability, is kind of explaining things, breaking things down, so that if I'm speaking one-on-one with someone, I can understand how they best interpret information, and then I can give analogies to that individual. Reframing. I can reframe anything. You give me a scenario, I can help you start looking at it differently. And when you start looking at things differently, you start becoming more and more aligned. And that's one of the biggest tools I use in alignment, is reframing. When my mentor reframed how I thought about weaknesses as opposed to abilities, he was aligning me with who I really am as a person, so that I can then go on, work on that stuff, get really good at it, and that enables me to be able to go out and help more people. What am I really good at? I'm good at cooking and organizing and putting like loan packages together, but I can't do it forever. Like at the end of the day, I'm kind of spent. Competent. What am I competent at? I'm competent at tech. I can figure out tech, But once you mention tech, I start like feeling that drain, right? Integrations. I start feeling that drain. Getting one program to talk to another program is supposed to be easy, right? If I just type this into this line, it's supposed to talk. And for me, that doesn't always happen. And then I start getting frustrated. So I start playing that story over. So I can do tech, but I really choose not to, if at all possible. We already spoke about incompetent booking flights. Booking flights and repetitive tasks are my, like, I just start freezing and twitching. I don't even like talking. I don't even like saying it here. It starts making me twitch. I want you to use this chart, right? Literally take out a sheet of paper. Let me get it here. I'll just use this. Literally, just fold the paper. That's all you have to do. You can do this process anywhere. And there you got 4 quadrants. Fold the sheet of paper. Run yourself through this so that you can start identifying what really lights you up. And then do those actions more. You'll become known for those actions. And once you become known for those actions, niches is in the riches, right? Riches are in the niches. Once you become known for that, life starts opening up. I'm known for alignment. I'm known for reframing. I'm known for being able to explain certain concepts in certain ways. Once you could do that, run with it. Become really sharp. Think about it this way. I'll leave you with this last thought. Because this is an example my mentor gave me also. He said, would you rather go to a mechanic, if money didn't play a role in any of your decisions, right? Would you rather go to the mechanic that fixed just your make of cars? Or would you go to a general mechanic? For me, I want to go to that specialized guy because then I know this guy does it so much he could do it in his sleep. All he does is work on Hondas or Fords or Porsches, whatever it is. When you start working on your abilities, it starts getting to a level where you can just do it in your sleep. And that's where you can help the most people. Finding this. What do people always ask you for advice on? What do you do that you're not even like you find it so easy you don't even realize it? Like you look at other people and you're like, no, you just do this. It's so easy. What are those things? Double down on this sector and you're going to see life open up. Guys, we live up here in the numerator, not down here in the denominator. Go out there today. Be unstoppable! And crush life.